Hi Aquarius, welcome to your April reading. So we're going to talk about the end of March, but there's just a few days left. I've been traveling and was actually slightly under the weather, but that has seemed to come with traveling. So everything is fine. I'm back in Denmark and here we go. The first two cards are the 10 of Cups and the Ace of Cups. So there was this period of hiding. You were going through your hermit moment. You really weren't very big on communicating. You were recalibrating, let's say, and now April brings you this change of communication. Right from April 1st, we have a new moon. And as of that new moon, you feel that you can start cooperating with others again. You feel like you can reach out to others. You feel like you can talk to them. They may still be a little bit confused about some stuff, but you're not. The one thing that you know for sure is that you don't want any kind of a hassle, and you just don't want to deal with confusion anymore. You want things to be very clear, and your priorities are very clear. So you don't want to hassle, and you don't want anything that makes you feel you don't want anything that makes you feel so upset that it affects your health or it makes you in some way dysregulate, right? Now, if you feel that you have been pushing yourself, perhaps even, strong word here, bullying yourself when it comes to work or making money, that may have a lot to do with why your communication style has changed. It may have a lot to do with why you're so zero tolerant on hassle right now, because you've been hassling yourself for a little bit. You've been bullying yourself to get something done because you know it's a good idea. But the way that you've gone about it, I think that you've missed something. I think you've tried to, let's say, appeal to the ego, kind of make that your motivator, use attention and money and things. And it's funny that you would do that, because that's how someone else would try to woo you as well without knowing you. So the fact that you're doing it is kind of funny because you know you. So what I'm saying is that this thing you want to do so much, I think you put pressure on yourself in the wrong way. I don't think that it's that you fold under pressure. I think that the pressure has been applied in the wrong arena. So is it really going to motivate you, Aquarius, to be like, yeah, you can make a lot of money and, people would know you, and yeah, I can see why you're not motivated by that, because it's so far down on your list of priorities. I can see how you would want those things because you want financial freedom. I can see how you would want those things because you want perhaps a social freedom. But I can't see you putting your nose to the grindstone and just getting to it just because there's money involved, or just because there's fame involved, or just because there's attention involved. So a rethink there. Now, what's that rethink include? What's actually going to motivate you to do the thing, or start the thing, or accept the fact that the thing has begun? Whatever you're waiting on, whatever you can't quite communicate clearly enough about yet, whatever was supposed to take off, but now you're kind of wondering if it will. Your motivation is key. Now, that 10 of Cups and that Ace of Cups, especially in terms of traditional reading, it's very clear. You take all of it or you take none of it. Well, okay, let's think about that. What parts of your experience are you trying to negate when you're trying to turn something into a bigger event, or into a bigger subject, or into, maybe you're trying to inject your career with some capital and a new idea. Perhaps you're going back to school. Perhaps you're expanding something that already exists that you offer. What's going to make you motivated to actually do that and keep putting work into it, aside from making money? Well, one aspect that really works with you guys is this is part of the deal. This is what comes with it, is this confusion and perhaps perhaps this kind of nod to your autonomy and your fierce, you know, independence. Like, you've got to figure this out on your own. But you can't negate your experience and get there. There's no way for you to turn what you've been through or who you are into a totally positive experience and then package it and sell it. One, because it's just not true. It's inauthentic. And two, because you're missing all the parts then that actually make you so helpful. Every time you've fallen down, every time you've gotten back up, every time you've noticed where that bump or crack in the road was, you learned something. That's what makes you so helpful. If you're unwilling to look within your wounds and your shortcomings and quite frankly, your mistakes, you're not going to find that thing that makes you so compelling and so incredible, the thing that gives you all the words, the thing that makes people listen to you. You know, there is no veneer of perfection that you hide behind. People aren't looking to you, you know, to find some sort of caricature of perfection that they can't live up to, that they want to strive to live up to. No, you're relatable. You're human, you're relatable. You make mistakes like everybody else, but you're so uncannily intelligent that when you make those mistakes, you're able to do great things with them. You're able to turn those mistakes into really, really great lessons. Why would you not do that? Why would you pretend to be perfect or pretend to completely sanitize something so it can be sold when you know that's not how it works, when you know that's not how you work? So what am I saying? I'm saying include the rough stuff. Include the parts of yourself that aren't so polished. Throw them in there with the rest. I know you're going for cohesion and everything should be the same, but that's not you. You can't just shut the chaos out when you're created from it. You have to learn to live within it. You have to learn to make money within that. You have to learn how to save money within that. You have to learn how to stay inspired within that. It's not easy. Obviously, you know that. You know it's not easy. Now, when it comes to the bullying of self is really, you know, it's terrible. Now, if you're also bullying somebody else, even if it's about something small, if you've been on somebody's back, I would suggest that you fall back, because you're not quite in control of how vehement your words can be, and you might hit some hidden spots with people who are quite vicious. And a small thing can turn into a very, very, very big thing. Okay? The other thing is, if you're the one that's constantly making the effort, regardless of the situation, stop. This is one of those months where mutual effort becomes really obvious. If there is no mutual effort now, in the last few days of March, there will not be in April, and you should enter April a free person. Not waiting for anyone's call, not waiting for anyone's anything, not waiting for whatever random behavior they throw at you that you then have to somehow fit into your life and be okay with. Don't do that. Now, it's really difficult when there's no mutual effort to recognize that and to let a person go. It's really difficult to see through the fog that some people create around themselves, so you can't really tell what their intentions are. But the cool thing is that you don't need to know what their intentions are. You just need to be able to read the fog. When the fog rolls in, you roll the fuck out. Simple as that. Now, if they want to talk, just like you want to talk, now you have a different problem. Now you have that problem of people want to talk. Okay? Well, you don't want to talk. Communication is different, and things are, you know, things are what they are. You have this new moon, and yeah, you're going to say a little something here and there, but people want to talk, and they want to talk about love. They want to talk about romance. They want to talk about all these things that right now, quite frankly, are, you know, they're a little bit cringy. You don't really feel like talking about this stuff right now. And, well, to be perfectly honest, some of you don't want to talk about it because you're still waiting on somebody else from the past that you swear is somehow going to come back around. And so you're playing this game, Aquarius, where you're holding out, or, you know, you don't want to cheat on your your boyfriend with your husband kind of vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like you're waiting on somebody who just, oh man, they triggered that abandonment within you so hard. And now they're just like this open wound, like always. They're that key to dysregulation. You start to feel their absence or their ignoring of you. And all of a sudden, you know, you're 5 years old or 10 years old and things are chaos and you don't feel loved, and wait a minute, I never wanted to feel this way again. Here I am, grown adult, and I feel this way again. And you may be finding yourself in this 5 of Cups. You know, for a lot of people, I've begun to call it the card of abandonment malaise. You know, that awful feeling that you get that's triggered by someone abandoning you. That grief, that rage, that sadness that can eat you up. If you're one of those people that's waiting for somebody to come back into their life, well, if they only cared about you a little more than they cared about themselves, I'd say wait, but you know what the hangman is telling you. It's right there. You're only hung up by your own thinking about the thing, by your own expectations. You cannot see this person for what they really are. And I think the reason you can't see them for who they really are is because you have been trained from childhood to ignore the few things that this person really is. This person falls into your pattern of red flags that you cannot pick up. And one of those red flags that I find that Aquarians just are not able to sense at all is this self-involvement, this complete and utter selfishness. Perhaps you were raised by someone like this and you just had to ignore it to get by, or perhaps it's just a red flag that you were born not to notice because you're so kind. Either way, it's going right over your head, right? So for those of you who are waiting around for somebody who hasn't come back, who has come back and left again, this is an ego trip. And you, unfortunately, you're the trampoline. You're the thing getting jumped all over with no regard for you. Which, again, if that's what you experienced as a child, this seems very normal right now. This seems, you know, almost like home, familiar in that gross way that something can be familiar and homey, even though you hate it. It's time to wake up and see what this person is really like. And it's also time to see, you know, quite frankly, what thinking you're engaging in that's keeping you stuck. It sounds like something along the lines of, this person is so perfect, they're the love of my life. Don't you see that Ace of Cups there, Umber? What are you talking about? It is love. Well, let's say it like this then. If they don't come back in April, they never will. Move on. Let it go. If you've already let it go, the 5 of Cups and the Emperor in reverse, Aries season is going to be a little bit difficult if you've already let it go. Walking away from those 3 cups after you spill them yourself, or if someone convinces you you spilled them yourself, it's difficult. Your mind is going to convince you you did this. You're going to stand up for yourself, and your mind is going to convince you that you made a mistake because you're taking from your mind one of its key sources of escapism, and it's the thing that keeps you being able to cope with the world around you. But once you're robbed of that escapism and you have to see things head on as they are, and there is no fantasy world or fantasy partner or fantasy jilted, you know, relationship from the past or unrequited love to escape into, then you have to deal with the harsh realities around you. Now that doesn't sound at all pleasant, doesn't seem pleasant at all, doesn't feel pleasant, but the grounding, the devil says, into the actual real material world is really important, especially the Wheel of Fortune says that this is something that you would like to turn into a fortune of your own. But is there a fortune and is there a future of your own if the 5 of Cups, the Emperor in reverse, and the Hanged Man is your energy? April says that if you choose not to move on in a season that is meant for moving on, then you are choosing to stay stuck. And if you are choosing to stay stuck, then you have to anticipate how many different aspects of your life that stuckness will cling to. Between the 7th and the 17th, 10 days in April, you have the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. And it's all about money. On the 12th, it reaches its high point, and there you have that Wheel of Fortune and the Strength card waiting. Anything that you want to work on, any online product that you're creating, anything money-based that you're creating, it's such a go, it's such a win. But that Strength card is also there to tell you, please don't let this go to your head. If you let this go to your head, it's going to expose things about you that you really don't want people to know. Instead of letting it go to your head, humble yourself. Go back to school. Learn something new. Learn some tech-savvy thing you need to know. Learn some, new way of using an editing software. Take another course. Do something in finance. Whatever. Based on what you're doing, what you're learning, what you're buying, what you're selling. Find something that makes you feel solid. You see, for you, April is really important because you're making a lot of leaps in your head and they're very pragmatic. You're going from being a free spirit to wanting to be a wealthy eccentric, and I feel you. I'm right there with you. I agree. And this is the right time to make the transition. I agree. I'm with you. But now that means you have to be extra smart, right? April's really tiring. Towards the end of the month, you feel like you're running ragged, like you're gonna get sick, and so it's important. As soon as you hit mid-April, right after those Jupiter-Neptune conjunctions on the 17th, go into full wellness mode. Don't let your emotions cause any sort of stress for you. Go into extreme emotion regulation, keeping yourself very, very level, keeping, any sort of stressful stuff away from you, stressful people, stressful sounds, everything. As of the 17th, you could make this sort of sonic cocoon around yourself and save yourself from this kind of cacophony of success and ego and people wanting to be your friends and your fans, and maybe your body and inflammation are acting up. Maybe your emotions are, boosting your blood pressure. These are all things that will bring you to this realization that my emotional well-being is really important. It affects my physical well-being directly. And for that emotional well-being, there are certain things that I need to make me feel safe, secure, calm, long-term. And all of them have to do with money. And so it starts to crystallize in your brain. Yes, I like the idea. Still a free spirit, but with lots of money. Wealthy, eccentric. Yes, I like this idea. Yes, this suits me just fine. Yes, this is something that I can work towards and that will keep me focused. Okay, that natural tendency towards ADD just you get really focused. You get hyper-focused. Now, for those of you who are prone to inflammation, you may find that there is something from your past that is eating you alive and perhaps even making you sick. You may find that there is something very specific causing the inflammation and stress in your body. It's something that you either cannot let go of, or for some reason you feel is the direct reason for where you are right now. And let me take some umbrage with that point there. To find fault with where you are right now, no matter how you got there, is such a deep negation of self that it's really, really important that you stop doing it, and that you stop doing it right away. Wherever you are now, whatever choices and mistakes, perceived mistakes in your head you made to get there, just know that you did exactly what you needed to do because you're still here and you're still alive. Now, if we're talking about security, there's no sense in criticizing yourself. There's no sense in going back and kicking yourself for everything that's happened. It's not going to change anything. What you need to do is you need to sit down and have a very frank conversation, heart to heart, with your inner child. That inner child, which has expressed itself as your free spirit your whole life, wants more. It needs more now. It needs security. It wants money. It wants the freedom that only money can buy. It wants the sleep you only get when you have a lot of money in your bank account. It still wants to be a humanitarian. It still wants to be a free spirit. It still wants to do all the things that you love to do. But it wants to do them with money. So it's a huge change in your life because from within you are changing. Something from within you is saying, This is not enough for me anymore. This is not a partner saying it. It's not a parent. It's not a sibling. It's not a coworker. It's not a competitive or jealous friend. This is you saying it to you. You understand your motivations. You understand the intentionality behind this, and you even agree. I think the thing that's jarring to you is the speed of it, the insistence of it. Well, welcome to Aries season. You can use it perfectly well by pushing yourself to create this financial security and live happily ever after, at least when it comes to money. Or you can use Aries season to push against the past, to push against what can no longer be, and hurt yourself and hurt others very, very badly and make no progress whatsoever, which should hurt your feelings more than anything. Now, if the part about you pining for someone from a long time ago stings too hard, or it's resonating too hard, one of the things that you have to understand is that you are actively avoiding something in your life that could make you happy. No, but there's no one like that around. Exactly. Of course there's no one like that around. Do you think your brain would ignore someone like that if they were around? It wouldn't, right? Exactly. There's no one like that around. Just that you can pick up on. They're there. But you're not there. You see what I'm saying? There are a lot of people around you, I promise you, right now, who would make viable, wonderful partners. But you're not there. You can't keep using people not being interested in you as an excuse to keep the escapism in your life. Because the escapism is the reason why people aren't interested, because you're not there. You're somewhere else. You're miles away, somewhere in your head, pining for somebody God knows where, doing God knows what. Definitely not being with you. And anyone in your vicinity who would otherwise be extremely attracted to you and want to be with you and want to do nice things for you and want to be there for you, they can't. They don't even come up on your radar. Your inner child wants something different. It wants security. It's attracted to security. It can become the basis of a new you, a better you, a stronger and more stable you. Someone who doesn't have to ask anyone for anything. I feel like what you're experiencing in April, is actually kind of the way you are all through life. You thrive on the idea of not needing anyone's help. And in this situation in particular, you really don't want it. You want to do this yourself. You're into doing this yourself. And that's okay. Because you see how far and how wide the pendulum swings. On one hand, you can easily turn into something that someone leads around for a bit longer, right? Destroying your self-esteem, destroying your sense of self. Or on the other hand, you use that passion and that strength to push yourself into a financial position and continue to push yourself into a financial position that is retirement worthy. You've got that thing in you now. Now I don't think you'll stop working until you reach that goal. And that's amazing because you have so much to draw on that you don't even know. So much that will come to your aid when it's time. You are very much on your hero's quest, Aquarius, and you continue to be. Now, if you have been living this reclusive way, not just because you thought someone would come back to you and you should maybe, save yourself, but also because you've been really exhausted, maybe because you've been carrying a lot more than you should, right? You may find that April is a little bit emotional. Some of that weight gets taken off your shoulders by the people around you that love you, and you feel so good. You feel so free. You feel so kind of foolish almost because, well, you keep telling yourself that you don't need anyone's help. And then in April, all these people kind of comfort you and take weight off your back. And you're like, I want to do this alone. And they're like, of course you do. You do it alone. And they're helping you all the way through it. And it's just so sweet. We know you want to do it alone and we love you for it. But sometimes you need your people. What? Yes, that's how I sound when I scream. No, it is not at all dignified. I apologize. I don't know. It's happened a couple of times. I think I get so worked up and excited about the cards that they just... So we'll take that. And now, let's just look a little more at this sense of security that your inner child is wanting. Now, for some of you, that inner child is, you know, actually an inner child. For some of you, that's a child in your body that you are magically bringing forward. Do not discount that a lot of the security that you are looking for now is directly related to this child presence. Whether it's your inner child or a baby, that this being, this child essence wants financial security. It wants you to be better and learn more and be more innovative. It wants you to really put your mind to creating a fortune that is vast. And it's so funny because the only thing that's ever kept you from having a vast fortune, if you don't have one already, is just proper motivation. That's it. And this is the proper motivation. This is the type of stuff you live for. This is exactly the motivation you want, because up until now, the motivation hasn't really interested you. Remember, we were saying like, making money, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But this idea that you could completely own yourself, this idea that you could completely embody yourself and really be making this money so you could be true to this free spirit within and do exactly as you liked. That's exciting. That's exciting. And that's what this inner child energy wants from you. It wants you to, you know, push forward and make big strides and learn new things. And there's the baby, right? Keep positive, keep your head up, as long as you have this focus that whatever I'm doing right now, I'm doing for this child, for this inner child, for the child I used to be. I'm listening. I'm not trying to impose anything. I just want to know what you need. And this inner child is saying, I want financial security more than what I have now. I don't want to have to work if I don't want to have to work. I know this sounds crazy, but you would be surprised how motivated you are and how much you can do when you're completely honest with yourself about what you really want. And it's time to be very honest with yourself. You have the power, you have the means, you have the energy behind you. Your inner child is all for dialogue right now. You may not want to talk to anyone else about anything, but you definitely are interested in having some conversations with self. So focus there. And remember what I said. If there is no mutual effort, you must stop. Very small things, very small comments, very small grudges can turn into big, huge, explosive, terrible things. If someone is not contributing what they're supposed to be, stop. If someone is not putting in the effort they should be, stop. If someone has been gone for a long time and they haven't come back and they're not responding to you, or they come back and leave again and they just make you feel even worse, stop. If you're bullying yourself every day because you should be done by this thing by now, and stop. If you're beating yourself up because you made a mistake that a lot of people make, but how could you make it? Because you should know better and you should stop. These are all the machinations of late March. This is everything trying to get in your head. Anything you've done up until this point is great. You haven't made the mistakes that you think you've made. You find yourself where you are right now because it's time now to push the button. And everyone's on board, and everyone wants you to, and everyone supports you. What could be better? All right? Love you. I'll see you in the extended.